Okay, Katie.
Yeah.
Did you start it on your end, or do you need me to walk you through it?
Nope, it's already started. I don't use it through it. I don't do it through a event. So we are live.
Okay, good. Okay. So guys, I am producing tonight. Dave is sick, so bear with us. Hopefully, we will be able to do a good job. I hope.
Oh, there's an animal story tonight.
There is. There absolutely is.
We haven't had one in like, I don't know, a couple weeks, so it's fitting.
I made sure to get a animal and a
Florida
story. Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, are you still able to hear me, Katie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I was hearing an echo there. Okay. So, Dave is sick tonight, so I am running the board. So, if you are a theist and you're watching, use your prayers, your thoughts and prayers, and pray that we get through this. Nunbot is off for that very reason because I can't do both. So she'll be back tomorrow. Sorry about that, and I probably won't be as active in the actual chat as I normally am. I'll still do super chats at the end, but I just can't. With what we've got going on tonight, I can't do both. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about a pretty. Every time you're on, Katie, we talk about really dark stuff.
Well, I'm sorry. This happened by accident, though. Like,
Yeah.
sheer accident.
Yeah,
And
but
it just so happens that it affects where you live. So,
yes, I was going to say that. I live in Greensboro, and that's exactly where this story takes place. It's kind of disheartening. And the lady that you see here, this is the center of all of this. And Katie has gotten a brilliant journalist, and she is one. She has gotten a very detailed inside scoop that you'll only hear here. So buckle up and get ready. But to kind of ease into that before we jump into the dark stuff, let's take a look at this week's, what we're going to call from now on, nonsense news. I'm very proud of that.
I love the porn music.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you want to make your own porns to the NonSequitur soundtrack, you can by going to either iTunes, Spotify, Google, and if you don't want to buy the album, if you just want to listen to it, you can do so by going to SoundCloud, and that's soundcloud.com/nonsec show. All right, it would help if I pull up where we're going to start here on my notes. And
I like the new name, Nonsense News.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It fits, and I really like our new music for our for the Smoking Nun. So
Excellent. Which again you can get in the iTunes. I'm done chilling. Okay, so
chill it.
we're going to begin tonight in Florida. And the headline here is: a Florida man gets released from jail and immediately steals a car from a prison parking lot.
Unreal.
Genius. Absolutely genius. So a Florida man was arrested, and after minutes from leaving the prison, this is minutes, this is literally when he walked outside of the gates, he was stealing a car from the parking lot. According to the man's arrest affidavit, Michael Casey Lewis, who is 34. Whoa.
What happened?
That's a rough 34, isn't it?
Yeah, he looks really old. But I'm sorry, my camera went out right now. Hold on. I might have to reboot. Hold on.
Maybe just refresh your browser.
Yeah, I gotta refresh.
That should bring you back in. I'm getting ready to be 33. So yeah, that's a long 34 years.
Yeah, and I'm 40, and he looks worse than me.
He said he'd just been bonded out of St. Lucie County Jail in Fort Pierce. Moments later, however, officers spot him acting suspicious in the parking lot. The suspect pleaded innocent as he claimed to be waiting for his girlfriend. However, to his misfortune, security footage clearly displayed him checking for unlocked cars and finally getting into one. What a genius. And then we're going to go into, this is just a gem here.
He looks like he has no teeth.
He probably doesn't. But what about, well, speaking of, well, I'm not going to make that joke, but let's go, 8th grader pressured me into oral sex. A former teacher testifies.
Yeah, right.
You know, there's a very unique phenomenon that goes on with sort of the teachers and the sex with students. If it's a guy teacher that has sex with a female student, it's often considered very creepy. But if it's a female teacher having sex with a guy student, it's like it's a cool thing. You know?
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, they're both equally offensive. I'm just saying the way that they're perceived.
Yeah, the way that they're perceived and the way that they're presented by the media, where it's like the woman is not like victimized by the boy. Come on, a 14-year-old boy really pressured you to give him a blowjob.
Yep,
I don't think so.
A former California middle school teacher claimed in court that she was pressured into giving an 8th grade student oral sex because she felt threatened that the boy would expose their relationship if she refused. Now, there are a lot of things there's a lot of things that go along with this. Number one.
Wait, they're in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's your story just fell apart right there.
That's the extent of this genius. She testified in court that the reason she gave an 8th grader a blowjob is because she was scared if she didn't, he would tell about their relationship.
So you incriminate yourself with your own defense, you idiot.
Right. Yes. Justine Nelson, a married 33. Oh, she's married. What do you think? How would that feel to be the husband to know that your wife cheated on you with an eighth grader?
I don't know. And dude, I just spent like last summer, I coached a bunch of 13-year-old boys in tennis. They are so stinky and ugly and gross. Like, what?
She says that she succumbed to pressure to be intimate, including kissing and oral sex, after exchanging nearly 100 pages of Instagram messages with the boy. The student was 13 at the time, and while Nelson was a 31-year-old mother of one who has acknowledged knowing their relationship was inappropriate but felt powerless to stop it due to the potentially losing her job and custody of her child. Well, you know how you avoid that altogether is you don't get in a relationship with a 8th grader.
With a 13-year-old. Correct.
Things is just, genius. Absolutely genius. Now,
13-year-old boys are barely even in puberty.
It must be it's got to be it's a disorder. You know what I mean? Like there's something.
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, I had this little guy that I coached, and he was 13, and he was like 4'11".
Yeah. There's something not right, but like I said, I felt bad for the
I mean, not ew like the little boy was ew, but like I'm not going to be attracted to a 13-year-old boy.
Sure. Well, now let's get into the terrifying. This is a wild story here. I swapped about 5,000 babies just for fun. A dying nurse apologizes. A dying nurse apologized to God for swapping thousands of babies for fun while working as a nurse at the University Teaching Hospital in Zambia. Elizabeth Miwiwa, a nurse who worked at the University Teaching Hospital in Lusaka, Zambia, confessed on her sickbed about her swapping fun game. The dying nurse confessed that she has swapped not fewer than 5,000 newborn babies. Elizabeth added that the exchange was done immediately after they had given birth at the UTH maternity ward. She was diagnosed with cancer and, while lying in her sickbed, confessed all her crimes on Monday. Continuing, she said, "I have terminal cancer and I know I will die soon. I wish to confess my sins to God and all those who are affected, especially those who gave birth during my services. I found God. I am born again now. I have nothing to hide.
Oh,
During the 12 years I worked at the UTH maternity ward, I swapped around 5,000 babies. Now, this story sounds like way too crazy to be true. And
yeah.
I looked online and I went to Snopes, and Snopes has the story on their website, and they have it as it's like, I forget the word that they use, but
Plausible?
They can't tell if it's real or fake. Like there's what she's saying. There's not a way to back it up right now. They can't rule it out, but they also can't say that it's
Well, because the babies wouldn't even know that they were swapped, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But she says that if you were born in the UTH between the years 1983 to 1995, chances are your parents may not be your biological parents. I had developed a habit of swapping newly born babies just for fun. So take a good look at your siblings, for example. If everyone is light and you are dark, you are that child. I am really sorry for that. I know that I have sinned against God. Forgive me. So basically what she was doing is she was, just for the hell of it, switching people's children when they were born in the... and like I said, this story may not even be true. It's it's unconfirmed.
I feel like she's like that. Yeah. Unconfirmed. That's the word. What, Zambia,
Yeah. But like you said, there's not really a way that you could validate that without. I guess now people who are born in that hospital would come forward and try to, do a paternity test or something like that and see if they can. I don't know how you would undo that mess. I mean, that's just crazy. Because you've got that's 10,000 parents that don't have their kid. The world is crazy. And then for our animal story this week.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just found an article. Preliminary investigations into reports that about 5,000 babies were swapped at the UTH between 1993 and 1995 have reviewed that there was no midwife in the General Nursing Council of Zambia registered by the name of Elizabeth Bolayiwa Miwa.
Oh, good.
The investigation has also revealed that no midwife by that name ever existed or later on worked in maternity ward at the University Teaching Hospital.
Boom.
The General Nursing Council of Zambia has instituted investigations into social media reports alleging that close to 5,000 babies were swapped.
Mm-hmm. Why would Snopes have it as still unconfirmed then? That sounds like it's
Yeah, and this is out of Lusaka Times, which is in...
That's weird.
Looks like it's international.
Snopes is usually on it. Well, good then. That's good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a thing then. Well, in a very rare turn of events, sometimes karma is just great. Sometimes there's nothing better than just seeing karma in action, and nowhere does that take place. And I'm so happy about this article right here.
Yeah, where did you pick that out of? The Daily Fail?
No, I'm talking about this one right here. This next one coming up.
Oh.
A rhino poacher trampled to death by elephants, and his remains were eaten by lions.
Oh, I love that rhino.
That is a great headline right there. A rhino poacher was trampled to death by an elephant, and his remains were devoured by a pride of lions. The Kruger National Park official said on Thursday. The man was hunting in a preserve in South Africa on Tuesday when he was trampled by the elephant. The Letaba Herald reported 4 other hunters were arrested on Wednesday. The poachers told the man's family what happened. The relatives then called the park officials, who started a search to recover his remains. A human skull and a pair of pants were recovered on Thursday. A pride of lions is believed to have eaten the man after he was crushed. Park officials offered a warning in their condolences to the man's family. Entering the park illegally and on foot is not wise. It holds many dangers, and this incident is evidence of that. It is very sad to see the daughters of the deceased mourning their loss of their father, and worse still, only being able to recover little of his remains. Well, I agree. It is sad for the guy's daughters. However,
your dad was an asshole.
yes, this is what happens when you go and try to hunt illegally and poach animals just for.
Well, and rhinos are on the verge of extinction because of the rhino horn. And the rhino horn isn't for sport. It's because there's this like crazy belief that the rhino horn, if you file it down and you drink it, it is like medicinal properties, and it's a Vietnamese like belief, and so they drink the rhino horn or they make it into medicine, and it's basically the horn is made from what is like the on your fingertips. It's no different than the same material as your fingertips, or not your fingertips, your fingernails. There's
also
they sell.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They sell the rhino horn for like, and they're super expensive.
Mm-hmm. You know that you can get as a sort of an all-natural Viagra. They say that filing off deer antler shavings, that's good for your vascular your vascular system, and it's also supposed to pack on the muscle. So,
are you saying it's supposed to make you nice and ripe and tough and
it's supposed to
engorged?
Ready to go.
Make it
ready to go. Okay, so the last story is not so funny. I thought this is almost too evil to believe, but nonetheless, here we go. Go to the next one. A New Mexico dad is accused of killing his 5-year-old daughter for not doing her homework.
I saw this today.
A New Mexico man is in custody after police say he beat his 5-year-old daughter to death with a water slipper because she didn't want to do her homework. What is a water slipper?
I don't know. Like is it like a water shoe? Like the water shoes?
That's what I haven't had, but I'm not certain. If anybody in the chat knows, let us know. Brandon Reynolds, 36 of Albuquerque, told police he did not know what came over him and that he blacked out while spanking her, according to a criminal complaint. This is definitely a heartbreaking tragedy, the police chief said. They said that someone came in the house, called 911 at 1 a.m. Friday, reporting that the child was unconscious, is not breathing, possibly suffering a cardiac arrest. When emergency personnel arrived, they noticed signs of physical trauma on her body, and while Reynolds appeared emotionless, officers then questioned the man about the girl's medical history. He told them that she did not have any current conditions, but had a hole in her heart when she was a fetus, according to the complaint. Meanwhile, police noticed blood stains on the wall and the carpet in the living room. I don't want to read anymore just because it's so horrible. But if you get, I mean, just imagine what you have, how much you have to beat a child with, let's say it is a water shoe, to kill her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
Did you see the pictures of her? She looks really tiny.
She is. That's why I had to stop. I couldn't scroll down anymore.
She was what, 5? 5
yeah.
or
She's 5, 6? Yeah. She's 5.
Yeah, so like a 5-year-old is like 50 pounds. That's like the size of my son.
Number one, I'm not a advocator of spanking your child. I don't think it does anything. That's just my opinion. I know there are people who think that it does. I'm just one of those that...
No, it's literally don't. Like the American Academy of Pediatrics and every single like children's advocacy is everyone is against spanking. So people that spank are just, they need to reevaluate what they're doing.
I think that there are better ways, and that's it's
way better.
It's a very contentious issue. I think that you can be more. There's more lasting impact when you don't resort to that. I know it's easier, and sometimes you're just so at your wit's end that you do lose it sometimes. But this is just disgusting. And
he has got to have like massive anger issues. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a criminal history.
Yeah. So I am not an advocate for discipline, corporal punishment.
You shouldn't be an advocate for it. And corporal punishment as a whole, in all studies from a scientific standpoint, is completely like, it's useless. It teaches your child nothing. It doesn't stop the child's bad behavior. It actually reinforces violence, and it produces violent behaviors in the future.
I agree. The only reason I say that is because we did a debate on it one time, and I was kind of taken aback at how contentious the issue is.
There's so many parents that think because they've been hit as a child that it's okay to hit their kids, and that's not okay. Like, my grandma beat up my mom. My mom didn't beat me. At some point in time, you have to stop the cycle.
Right. I remember I was one of those kids that used to have to go out there. My grandpa would make you go out and break your own switch off of a tree when you. So I've been there, and like, I wouldn't say that I'm maladjusted because of it, but I've not seen any evidence that there's anything beneficial that comes from it. There's better ways. There's more effective ways.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to let you introduce this what we're going to be talking about tonight, while I try to figure out how to get this
PowerPoint up.
Yeah, to show up. Hopefully that can work.
All right, you guys. So this story actually, it kind of happened by, I don't know, accident. If you follow my column on Without a Crystal Ball, you should know that I cover crimes that happen within churches. I also cover crimes against children, and I also cover child sexual abuse stuff. And so I do searches and stuff, and I look for cases, and on Friday I found this case and it actually had happened just the same day it happened. So I happened to walk into the story right as it was breaking, which doesn't always happen when I cover stuff. And basically what happened was this woman that you can see in the picture behind you, Allison Saunders, who is 23, and she is from Greensboro, North Carolina. She is charged with 14 felonies, which are all related to her abuse of children ages 2 and 3 years old. She was sexually assaulting them while she was changing them on the changing table and other places within a daycare facility, which I should have mentioned. So Allison worked at a daycare at a church called Fellowship Presbyterian Church, which is apparently has a long history in this area of Greensboro. And the church has a day school, and Allison has worked at the day school for 5 years. So according to the arrest, she's charged with 2 crimes against nature, 6 counts of child exploitation, 2 counts of statutory rape, and then 4 counts of civil, liberties, criminal liberties or indecent liberties. Yeah, indecent liberties against a child. And so in total, only 2 of those charges, so there's 14 total charges, 2 of them carry life imprisonment. So she's facing life in prison. And she also has federal charges coming because she was caught because ICE. So the Department of Homeland Security found out about Allison after a man was arrested in the United Kingdom in London. On the man's phone, or on the man, they found images of children that were of abuse nature and sexual in nature, and they noticed through digital forensics that he had been communicating with Allison in North Carolina, and they contacted, so he was arrested for charges related to child pornography, and then UK police or investigators contacted the Department of Homeland Security, who then interviewed Allison in March to find out if she was part of this, and she admitted to it. But that's not even half the story.
Okay, I figured out what is keeping this timeline from uploading. I'm downloading PowerPoint now, so it has to be installed. So we just need to waste like 4 more minutes, and we'll be
Okay,
set.
I can keep talking.
Keep
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Okay. So she was arrested on Friday, April 5th, and she was taken into custody. So this was a joint investigation between the Department of Homeland Security and the State Bureau of Investigations in North Carolina, so the SBI of North Carolina. And she was charged with 14 felonies, state felonies, but then she has federal charges coming down, likely related to the dissemination of the images. So what she did was she was in charge of a class of 2- and 3-year-old children. She also ran the after school program and also like the aftercare program, and she ran some summer camps. And in the 2s and 3s, it was a pretty large group of kids, according to the parent that I spoke with. And she was taking photos of the children and assaulting the children while she was changing their diapers. According to the arrest documents, there was also a dog involved. So that's where the crimes against nature come in.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! I don't even.
Yeah, the prosecutor said that in court today. So, she was arrested on Friday, but they had been conducting an investigation for about a month. They originally interviewed her in the beginning of March. And once they interviewed her, she admitted to taking the photos, and she consented to a full forensic review of her like social media and all of her like digital, like her phone, her laptop, that kind of stuff. And on there, police or investigators, I should say, the Department of Homeland Security, they found videos, they found photos, they found a lot more than just the initial 5 images that they found when they learned of the case in the beginning. And this case gets a little bit convoluted because Allison has worked at this center for 5 years, and she got the job because her aunt is the assistant director of the day program and the kindergarten teacher.
What?
Yes. So there's been some miscommunication and maybe a potential of a downplaying of the church, potentially a cover-up within the church. The investigation is still ongoing, and we're going to kind of give you a little bit more insight into how the church has handled this, because parents, now this isn't a very large school, but there's at least 30 kids that are in the 2s and 3s classrooms, according to the parent that I spoke to. And then they have, kindergarten, and I think they go through elementary school. And the school, when they found out about this, instead of really taking this seriously, they wanted to wait things out and see how the investigation played out, and really did their best to minimize what happened, because they didn't want parents to leave the school, and they didn't want their reputation to be tarnished. And the assistant director, the church has said multiple times that she has not been in communication with investigators. However, that has not stopped her from meddling with parents and trying to stop any discussion within the community about her niece, as well as trying to prevent information getting out to the public.
Okay, I think we're good. Let me put this here. Okay. Yeah. I think I've got it.
All right. Got it. Okay. So I wrote the story when it broke. So she was arrested on Friday morning, and that's when I found the story. After I wrote the story, I was sort of like weirded out because the school and the church, their response to this arrest, which was really horrific. I mean, bestiality and, child sexual abuse and all kinds of stuff that's just really inappropriate, just horrific, and the church is like, they're sending out these media releases that are like, we are a nonprofit and we exist to help children, with very little discussion about the victims and a lot of, it seemed, energy spent to minimize their involvement, while also pretending to seem to put things in place that are going to help things. But we have the parent found me after a friend of hers found my column, and the parent reached out to me and said, you voiced a lot of concerns that I have as a parent. I want to send you some information. I really want to talk to you. I watched a bunch of your videos and read your articles, and I think you would be the perfect person to talk, to get this out. So I've spoken with her a couple times by phone. I've been in communication with her pretty much nonstop since Saturday.
And I saw that there were a couple people that said that they couldn't hear me. There's somebody double check and make sure that you can hear me now. I was talking kind of low there on purpose because I was busy, but let me know if you can't hear me in the chat. Do you want to kind of explain, you're gonna see some redaction points here. We are keeping the person who Katie's been talking to out from this, so that's what the black bars will be when you see those, just in case you're wondering.
We're gonna keep two names out of this. The mother of one of the parents, so the parent of one of the children at this facility, we are not going to release her name because her child could be a victim. They don't know. Because this investigation is ongoing, we have decided for her daughter or her child's protection that we will not release the information. And then we are not going to release the name of the person that works at the church that's related to Allison.
Sure. So that's what those black boxes will be. So, Katie, whenever you're ready, I'll just kind of be manning the timeline, and you can go through as you see fit.
Okay. The Fellowship Day School in Greensboro, North Carolina, for those of you that have questions. Okay. So the parent, I'm going to call her Sarah, put together a timeline which includes every single communication that she has received between the day everything broke on March 7th to yesterday. So she put together a comprehensive timeline of all of the different communications she's had between the school and what the school has sent out to parents.
And I have to say, when I say you're getting this only here, this has details and stuff. She did a killer job on this, and even the local news, they don't have the sort of details that this has. So you're hearing it first. We are breaking news here.
We are breaking news. Nobody has this information.
So this is it's sad, but it's she did a really good job on this. I'm very impressed by what she put together.
Yes, Sarah did the thing.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. Go backwards. There we go.
So on March 8th, I believe.
Hold on. Let me make sure I got the right one.
Yep. So the first slide will tell you what we're going to look at.
Yeah. Hold on. That one.
It's super blurry on this end, so I'm going to have to...
Yeah, it's going to be blurry for you.
I'm going to just pull it up, I think.
I'm wondering, though... Okay.
I'm going to just pull it up on my computer.
I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to number 3 on that.
Yeah, number 2 is just an outline, and then number 3.
There we go. All right, we're good now.
Okay. So on March 8th, parents received an email from the director of the school, whose name is Melissa Mitchell. And she sent an email to them to let them know that they were going to have an important meeting on Friday, March 8th at 5 p.m. Childcare, she said, would be available. And Sarah sent the message to Melissa and said, I cannot, she asked like if, you know, she could provide any information. And Sarah said, I can. So Melissa said, unfortunately, I cannot. I'm sure there will be more to come. She said, do I need to pick up my child? I'm sure you can understand that with an email like that, with such little information, will make parents concerned. They said, no, she's fine. We are fine. She said, okay, thanks. Legally at this point, we can't say anything else. So they sent out this like very blanket email. So then you go to the next slide.
Okay.
So these were notes that Sarah took at the meeting. And so during the meeting, she learned that Allison Saunders was an assistant teacher on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, an employee for over 5 years. And she was under investigation for international lines and photos. The Department of Homeland Security was investigating her. She said the very first thing that they said to her in the meeting was, we've contacted our lawyers and our lawyer is right here, which she thought was very odd. That wasn't really like any sort of, it was like, hi parents, we've contacted our lawyer is right here, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the school first found out about everything, they called their lawyers first. Mm-hmm. So she says
they're probably taking an extremely defensive stance on, you know. Like, in a certain way, that might have been a smart move so that they could get legal counsel to see like the best way to go forward. Yep. So that, you know, they weren't flying solo.
Yep, and I think that's, you know, appropriate with these sort of charges. But what was not appropriate was the fact that the school ends up hammering home to them. Now, mind you, when they met with the parents, the Department of Homeland Security had only interviewed Allison just the day before. They had just gotten a confession from her, and she had just consented to forensic evaluations of all of her stuff. But nothing had been done yet to look through anything, right? Mm-hmm. No arrest had been made. So they said that they were assured by the Department of Homeland Security that there was absolutely no physical touching. And there was 5 total children that were involved, so 5 victims, but 2 parents had not yet been notified. They said that Allison also was in charge of summer camps and after school. They told parents that despite the fact that the photos were taken at changing tables, the school does have a policy that there's no cell phones in the classroom, and that they learned about the case, the Department of Homeland Security, after a pedophile in London had photos of 5 students on him.
Oh, no. So she's an employee there for 5 years. How do we know that this doesn't go back the extent of...
We don't.
Okay. And so...
And that's the big... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the photos that she took wound up in a pedophile all the way across the planet.
Yes. In a child pornography ring.
Oh, man.
Yep. Mm. And so even though she had been there for 5 years, the school wanted them to say this only happened on one day. It was just one single day in January that this happened. There was absolutely no touching. This is exactly what they've told us. And they stuck to that story, and they just kept running with it. And so if you go to the next slide, which
Sure.
that's actually, you can skip to the
Skip to 6.
6. Yep.
Okay.
So by the time it's the Saturday, they realize that the media is going to find out. And so the school starts going into damage control. Oh, and I forgot, at the meeting, at the parent meeting, one of the victim's parents actually stood up and talked about the photos because they had been interviewed the night before. And it was at that time they learned that the photos had been taken on a changing table while their child was getting their diaper changed.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And the school didn't even know that. And the parents at the meeting were actually upset that they were holding this meeting with them when 2 victims had yet to be notified.
I think that it's worth. Let me just read this press release real quick, just so that people can get kind of an idea. It says that we believe the current situation is going to reach the local media sooner rather than later in the hopes of providing basic information while protecting both the children and the ongoing investigation. We are sending the attached release to a member of our church who works for a local television station. We wanted to provide you with an advance copy so that you are not caught unawares. And I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'll read the first 2 paragraphs. On the afternoon of Thursday, March the 7th of 2019, special agents from Homeland Security and the State Bureau of Investigations appeared at Fellowship Day School and informed the school's executive director that an employee of the school was being investigated by those agencies. The investigation relates to whether an employee of the school had acted inappropriately as to 5 children at the school. Fellowship Day School operates both preschool and after-school programs. Special Agent Charles Cook of the Department of Homeland Security has started an investigation that does not involve inappropriate physical contact with the children. The agent has also stated that the investigators have no reason to believe that the alleged conduct involved more than 5 children or that any person associated with the school was involved in, had knowledge of, or any alleged misconduct other than the employee in question. I wonder why they keep making a point of saying this kid was not touched. It's equally, to me anyway, it's just as egregious that this child's picture was found on in a pedophile ring, right, on the other side of the planet. Like, you shouldn't. It's the same thing that they did with that Bill Donahue from the Catholic League did when the grand jury report in Pennsylvania came out about the victims of that abuse. He said. Yep. It's not like they're saying. It's not like these priests are raping children. These people these children were almost adults. Like they say these things to minimize or to sort of downplay the impact, and I think that's just a horrible thing to do.
So the parent that I am working with, who is, by the way, absolutely brave and amazing for doing this, she is putting herself on the line for doing this, because the minute this stuff goes out, they're going to know that she leaked all of this information, because we're going to be showing you communication between her and the school. So the school is going to know that this came from her. So she said that when they saw the press release, and now they never actually released that to the media, she said that what made her really upset about that was that they said that there was just photos, just like your response. Because a photo, whether or not it's just a photo, is a photo of a child in a compromising sexual position used for the gratification of a pedophile. And they're naked, and it's not just a photo.
Exactly.
And another thing that she said really concerned her was that there was never really a lot of, we're deeply sorry about this happening, we can't believe this happened, we are so sorry to our community. It was more like, this is what the investigator has told us, They said there is no reason to believe that there's been anything else. Well, you guys, that's not even true. My contact, Sarah, spoke with the lead investigator, Agent Cook, with the Department of Homeland Security, and he said he never told the school that there was no reason to believe that there was no touching. He said that the images that they had didn't have touching, but that doesn't mean touching didn't happen. He also said that he never guaranteed that it only happened on one day, and he also said that he couldn't say that it didn't happen before this. Mm-hmm. So he had never made those assurances to the church.
It's a very disturbing and interesting thing that goes on because you see this for whatever reason, this instinct to instantly try to cover up or keep quiet within the church. Yep. And as you'll see here, it's not just the Catholic Church.
No.
It's a as soon as something like this happens, they immediately fold ranks and they wall off and they keep quiet. And as you'll see, it doesn't make sense.
It's never about the victims, and it's always about the protection of the church and the protection of the institution. And it's always about saving face with the public versus actually dealing with those people that are within the community that have been victimized. So as we go through a lot of this, you're going to see a lot of communication from the school where it's really disconcerting how little they talk about the victims.
Right. Because I mean, let's be flat out honest. From what I've seen, they're not concerned about the victims because they consider it just a photo. Like they're concerned about the image. They're concerned about stating over and over again that this was not physical contact. That it didn't cross that line, and that's okay. It's still bad, but it's just a photo. That's the thing that you need to take away from this. Just a photo
of a 2 and 3 year old.
Right.
Yeah. So my contact Sarah, or the parent Sarah, after she had this, she was really upset because after the meeting, she learned from the school that the school would not be reaching out to former parents. So parents of children that had been enrolled at the school within the last 5 years that had been in contact with Allison, and remember, not only did Allison teach 2 and 3 year olds, but she also ran their summer camps and their aftercare program. She was one of the only teachers in the aftercare program. So she had access to a lot of children without any supervision. And as well as they said that they weren't allowed to have their phones in class, they didn't have a policy of taking the phones from teachers when they got to school, and none of the rooms had cameras. So
I bet they do now.
So when Sarah found out that the church wasn't going to contact the past parents, Sarah got really upset because she said, how do we know there's not other victims? There could be children that are suffering in silence, that don't know how to talk about this, that have been victimized by this woman, and the church is not going to tell them.
Right. And we don't know the thing is, we don't know if it went beyond just a photo.
We don't.
There could have very well been physical contact involved.
Right, and at this point in the investigation, the investigators were clear that they had no idea what the scope was happening. They had told the school that it was an ongoing investigation, and it's still to this day an ongoing investigation, and additional charges are still yet to be filed. So when Sarah heard that they weren't going to contact the parents, she went onto Facebook and she went into a local moms group, and she said that if your child has attended Fellowship Day School within the last 5 years, either during the day or in after school care, please message and or reach out to the school immediately. Current parents were informed of a really serious situation last night, and it may have impacted your children. I didn't get the same sense that this information was being shared with former parents, and it's important that you know. I don't want to go into too much detail on a public forum, but if you are a parent of a current or past student, please reach out to me. I will share what I know and provide the contact information that you need with law enforcement and investigators who may be able to help tell you more.
Here's the thing too, like the victims that she was targeting are such that they're not going to be able to tell you if something happened. You know, she kind of picked the perfect victim, as sick as that is to say, in that these kids, even if, you know, thinking back 5 years, they're not going to remember that. You know, so we have no way of knowing unless she is decent enough to admit to her wrongdoing, if she did, which I don't think that she will, because I mean that would just be frying her. But we will never know. I mean, we have no way of ever knowing.
And that's what the school wanted to say, that like it all happened on a single day because she got involved with a man online who was part of this child pornography ring, and because of that, she did all of these pictures for him on this single day. And Sarah was like, that is not how child sexual abuse works. You do not go from 0 to 1,000 in your very first offense. And what are the odds that you get caught after doing it one time?
Right. It's I don't know. The story is just so crazy. The turns and stuff in this story is just unbelievable.
This is like a Dateline episode.
It really is. Can I? Okay, let's see.
All right. So, I'm just going to read the text messages. So I'm going to just read. We're not going to show you the images because they have names on them. But I'm just going to read these to you guys, okay? So after Sarah put this up on this Facebook, she got a message from the assistant director of the school. And she said, I appreciate your kind words and thoughts, but taking this information into a public platform is hurtful. Interference with an ongoing investigation, and it's ruinous to the school and, by extension, the church. Authorities made it clear that this was an incident in January of this year and nothing prior to, therefore not affecting anyone before January. The families of these children need privacy right now, so taking this publicly will be damaging to them and the healing process. Also, the staff, I'm asking that you remove that post and let the authorities do their job. If an arrest is made, all will be public anyway. And she said, Assistant Director, they are taking this to the press. I have several friends with children who have attended after-school care with her. They have not yet been notified. I know that you are unable to notify them legally, but do you want past parents to find this out through the press? To which the director responded, they have been notified. They were notified of the meeting yesterday. They were given the notes as soon as I received, and I have emailed them personally. So she said, all former parents and students were notified yesterday. And then the administrator responded, at this point, no. Would serve no purpose other than to create unnecessary hurt and confusion because this is an ongoing investigation, isolated to a single day in January. And there have been no arrests. That is what Homeland Security recommended us to do. Please trust that we are doing everything that we have been told to, and leave the authorities leave this to the authorities and church leadership. And so, yeah,
leave it to church leadership. They're actively trying to keep parents from making this public. They're actively saying,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, exactly. And they're actively like leaving this. They're not contacting anyone.
It's unbelievable. And once again, like I said, this is what they do for whatever reason. This is every time a church is involved with something like this, this is their way of doing it. I don't know if it's a reaction to sort of not cast the church in a bad light, or to make people question their faith, or whatever the reason. But the onus is not on the kids. The the number
Right.
one priority is never the kids in this situation. And that's what pisses me
Never.
off. It's never
Yep.
what's best for the kids or what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again. It's always protect the church,
Correct.
protect the image, keep
Yep.
people quiet. And it just,
Right,
that
I mean-
pisses me off.
I know, and she was saying like it wouldn't look good for the church. Like seriously. So Sarah responds to the administrator. Unfortunately, I don't think this is fair and it only protects the church. Do you want to give parents the opportunity to ask their children? Do you not want to give parents the opportunity to ask their children? We both know that it's impossible to know if it was only 5 kids. We both know that if you have we both know that you have very limited information. I have removed the post out of respect for you, but I do not think it's right. I purposely did not include any information whatsoever about what was going on. If past parents ask me, though, I will tell them that everything Melissa has shared, just as I plan to do as a result of the post. And they should have the contact information of law enforcement. So then the administrator responds that she says, she said, I really appreciate you doing that. Probably not what I'm supposed to say. And you guys remember, this administrator is related to Allison. Okay? I'm supposed to say, what?
I had forgotten about that point, and it just hit me how unbelievable, like the fact that she is able to communicate on behalf of this situation, being related to the.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
She should have been put on leave as well.
Absolutely.
So she said, I'm supposed to say, but it is my understanding that it has been an extensive investigation by Homeland Security going on for quite a while. We're being completely cooperative and transparent with everyone affected. We believe to act in any other way at this point in time is irresponsible. But we'll do whatever Homeland tells us to do. And then she says, I understand, but if your kids had been in her care over the past 5 years, would you not want the opportunity to ask them? And do you not want the parents to ask their children so that you know she has hurt anyone else? To which the administrator said, not necessarily. I believe in waiting for all the facts to be known.
Oh.
But again, we are following the request from Homeland Security. I fully believe they know more than we do. And are you asking about the after school now? What do you mean? Sorry, I don't understand your question. I just wasn't sure if you were asking about after-school parents at this point. We just want to respect the identity and privacy of all involved for at least a little while to give everyone time to process what has happened. I do believe what Homeland Security told us was the truth. But even if it's not all the facts, all will come to light sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for or at least trying to. And then she said, so then the parent, Sarah, responds, I care for you and respect you, and I don't blame you. And this is, mind you, the administrator is Allison's aunt, right? She's also Sarah's daughter's teacher, okay? And she says, I care for and respect you. I don't blame anyone for this, and I'm not interested in all of that. What I'm interested is in making sure that children who have been exposed to her are protected and that their parents are given the information. They need to ask their children. They cannot say for sure if this was the only pedophile who has access to the photos or the photos on his computer are the only ones she took. They don't know if she did things that weren't recorded on camera. Investigations expand when children are asked by those who care about them whether or not they were harmed. Not giving former parents an opportunity to do that as soon as possible is not okay. If Homeland Security was okay with you notifying 100 parents last night, why would you be opposed to notifying the other parents as well?
Yes, and that would I would be raising hell if I knew that information was withheld from me and my kid was a student there. The thing that I take issue with the most out of what the administrator was saying back to them is this: I want to wait until all the information is in. When it comes to a kid and the potential that that kid has been exposed to someone who is a pedophile. Fuck
Correct.
waiting for facts. You get your kid,
Right.
you get that kid out of that situation immediately, and then you
Yep.
go back and you see if there was anything to that. But you don't leave the kid there until you're certain that there is nothing to it. That is
And you-
dangerous and absolute bullshit.
Well, right. And at this point, Homeland Security doesn't even know if other people are involved. That's the thing. They literally, and she lied when she said it was an extensive investigation. It wasn't.
Outrageous.
London officials found out about this in the end of February. They notified the Department of Homeland Security in the beginning of March. By the Homeland Security met with Allison on either March 5th or 6th. They had known about this for less than a week. This was not an extensive investigation. They literally found out that she was involved. They brought her in for an interview, and then they requested to do forensics on her computer. They had no information at this point about what was on her computer or social media. They had nothing. They had provided all of that data to the forensic experts that looked at that. So at this point, they only knew what was found in the UK, which is what they told the school. They didn't make any guarantees that it was only on a single day. They never said anything about that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but Homeland Security and the State Bureau of Investigations usually don't get involved unless they have some pretty damning evidence. Like,
Right.
to tiptoe around and say, well, we're just waiting for all the evidence to come in. Granted, in everyday life, when you're dealing with things not associated with children, absolutely, you should probably reserve judgment until you have a basis for your suspicions. Not with a kid.
Yep.
Never with a kid.
Right.
Never
with a kid.
It is. Go ahead.
No, you finish because you're angry.
Oh,
You're like, when you're angry.
I was just. I'm starting to preach, and I'm trying to hold back. So you go ahead.
No, and I promised the parent who I know is watching, just so you know. So I know she's watching us tonight. But I promised her that you would get fiery and go off, and she was very excited to hear that.
Nice. Well, yeah.
She's extremely angry at the school, and she told me that what really upset her the most was that they kept saying that the Department of Homeland Security only told us it was this one day, and Department of Homeland Security said that it was only 5 victims. Well, here's the thing. They only found 5 photos that they tied to the school on that specific man's phone. That was what they knew. They had no other information at that point. But mind you, by the time that the Homeland Security brought this to the school's notification, Allison had confessed. She confessed. And they said to her, so DHS goes and meets with the school and says she's confessed, and they say that this DHS told them that it was only on a single day, and they've done all this extensive verification, and there was no touching. And the school kept hammering away that there was no touching.
No, the absolute disgusting part of this is the word only. And they use it over and over again. Only photographs. Only this day. Only 5 kids were involved. 1 kid is an exponentially amount, like over what should be. As a church, as a body that claims that they have your best interest at heart, that they are going to nurture your you're sending them here obviously because you're trying to get them, or what you think is an education that is tied also in with biblical principles. So there's a certain expectation that here they're getting that little bit extra care. These adults really do care about them, and it's disgusting to hear a body and an organization that claims to have the moral high ground, that claims that they are the ones that are going to get to go to heaven because they are the God's chosen people, and they have done what is righteous, saying things like only 5 kids, only photographs, only. It's all bullshit, and they are acting in a way that is egregious and disgusting.
Yes. And you know what pissed me off the most about that exchange between the administrator and Sarah was that when Sarah said, "What if these were your children? Wouldn't you want to know?" And she said, "Not necessarily." Are you freaking kidding me?
Outrageous.
Hell no. If there was even an inkling that my son could have had contact with a pedophile, I would want to know.
Yeah, and I'd probably want to be in jail. That of course. Here's what it sort of ties in, I think, to what Jimmy and I were talking about last night with the Mormon church. Unfortunately, with these organizations like the Catholic Church, and in this case, they're looking at the damage that they're not looking at the damage that was done to the children. They're looking at the damage that is done to their organization. They're not looking at how this is going to affect these families going forward. They're looking at how it's going to affect their organization going forward. What's going to hit that bottom line? Is this going to make people have a mass exodus out of this private school because they can't trust them? So they're guarding that bottom line like it's their life.
Are guarding the cash flow.
Right. Instead of saying, you know what? Fuck everything else. There is somebody here that has harmed kids, and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And the person that is responsible for this is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Fuck what it does to their bottom line. Fuck what it does to our numbers. Fuck what it does to our image. At the end of the day, we're going to do what's right by those kids. And that's not happening.
Yeah, it's never about the kids. And this is why I hate these organizations, because they always pretend to be about God's love, and they always pretend to care about the people. But whenever shit hits the fan, they don't give a shit about the people, ever. Mm-hmm. So we can go, I guess, to the next slides. So Sarah, if you're watching, there are people in my live chat that want you to know that they are with you and they support you.
Absolutely.
All right. I think the next one after March. It should be. Is it the initial email to? Yep. So the initial email from Melissa to the teachers and Melissa and the teachers. Mm-hmm. So after this all breaks, the director is Melissa. Oh, wait. Actually, take that one down that has her name on it.
Okay.
All right, so I'll just give you an idea. So after Sarah has that exchange with the administrator, she contacts Melissa, who is the director of the entire day program, okay? And she says that, you know, I shared my concerns with Debbie, and I would like to echo them here, but we were brought to Fellowship Day School by several friends whose children have been in school, who have been in the school. And in the after-school program and summer camps the previous years. Many of them are under the direct, many of who were under the direct care of Aunt Allison. Debbie notified me that at this time, leadership at Fellowship, both church and school, have decided not to notify parents of former students who were under the teacher's care. To me, this is unacceptable. I am writing specifically to request that you reconsider this decision. I understand that authorities have said this investigation is limited to an incident in January, including 5 children. That does not necessarily mean that there was that was the only time. Miss Saunders was has allegedly victimized children. Just that particular incident only involved 5 children. That this particular pedophile only had photos of 5 students from fellowship on his computer. We cannot rule out the possibility that she has not done this before, that she took photos of more than 5 kids, or that the photos are in the possession of more than one pedophile, and that she victimized children in ways that were not captured on camera. We are likely they will investigate her more thoroughly now that she's been identified, and the scope could expand, and a new investigation could be opened that focuses on Mrs. Saunders and her activities before and after this incident. You have said on multiple occasions that you have been given very little information. So have we. We don't have enough information to assure people that you don't have enough information to assure people that this has never happened before in any other way. And the authorities can't even say that either. If there's even a 5% chance that other students were victimized over the last 5 years, why would you not want them to know immediately?
Exactly.
Like, if by not letting them talk to the parents, they're basically just not allowing other victims to come forward, which is why the school is not telling these people.
Right. It is.
I'm not gonna read everything, but that's pretty much the whole gist of it.
It is a systematic cover-up, and that's what we wanted.
Correct.
That's what you guys need to see. This doesn't just extend to the Catholic Church. And you know, to be fair, this could not just extend to churches in general. This could be you just see it more often in these organizations like this, because it's for whatever reason.
There's no accountability.
Yeah, exactly. They're able to govern themselves.
Yeah, and the government isn't involved in them, so they are able to stay out of government regulations.
That's the issue. They set their own rules, and for whatever reason, again, it all goes back to your number one concern should be for the kids. So at that point, it should be you drop everything else. You drop your worry about the image or what it's going to do, and you call the police and let the authorities handle the situation. And for some reason, they're not doing that. They're not, like, some parents were not notified. There were some parents that did not know that this was even going on at this school, and they chose not to inform them. Now, what possible reason could there be not to inform every single parent that had a child that went to that school? What reason would they have not to do that? There is no reason.
None. The reason they didn't, like you said, is to lessen the impact to the church. The more victims that can come forward, the worse this becomes for the church. The more money they're going to lose. And so they're going to try to control this story and keep it as close to themselves as possible so that as few people know about this. This is the same thing that's constantly done when it comes to child abuse. These children never have anyone advocating for them. They are silent victims, and they are consistently covered up by churches, by families. Like, no one ever cares about the kids.
There is it cannot be, I don't think, said enough that at the end of the day, you have got to be about these kids, and there has to be something that is done to. I don't know how you would do it, but these policies of keeping things, and to me, it's like they don't expect this to get out. Like, who is not using their brain to think that if you have somebody in your daycare that is abusing kids, that you're going to be able to keep this under wraps, that you're going to be able to keep a lid on this, and that it's not going to get out. And when it gets out, it's going to explode. And you think that by not telling this group of parents that that's going to be a beneficial thing for you? When they find out that you hid it from them, I know that I would go ballistic.
Yep.
I literally would go ballistic.
And that's where we're at today, is parents are going ballistic right now. So when after like she sends this very thoughtful like email and she's advocating for these teachers, the director says, I completely understand that these horrific incidents have deeply upset all of our family, all of our fellowship family. With regard to the victims of this person, we are relying on investigators who have conducted an extensive investigation of this person, which included multiple polygraph tests and confiscation and audit of her tech devices in her home and on her person. As we stated on Friday at a parent meeting, she had been involved with a man from the UK in an online relationship. The man was part of the child pornography ring. The man convinced her to commit these horrible acts on a Friday afternoon during the month of January this year in our beloved school. Not beloved children, beloved school. Mm-hmm. There is no evidence of sexual assault. The extent of her participation was photos. These are the facts. Agent Cook assured me that this is a chain of events and they have no evidence of any further activity. Believe me when I'm saying that I have pressed Agent Cook on the same questions you are asking me. I want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation and we are cooperating fully so that justice can prevail. I would advise you to contact the agent if you feel that I am withholding information from you. Do you like how she says it's isolated to a single day and they have done extensive research? They literally met her on a Thursday and then they went to the school on a Friday, and between Thursday and Friday they did a complete audit of all of her digital records.
She is related to the perpetrator.
Well, this person isn't. Melissa is the director.
I mean, who's the one that is? Who is
the assistant director?
Sure, yeah. I think that can't be said enough either. She is allowed to stay in that capacity and be having communication with parents back and forth as a relative to the perpetrator. Like, no one is saying, okay, for the benefit of this situation, we're going to have you not have any communication with anyone. Just lay low. Just don't say anything. We're not saying that you're implemented in this. Like, you may not have anything to do with it. You may not have ever known, but you don't need to be defending the organization that your relative used to abuse kids. This is the most fucked up situation I have ever heard in my life. Like, it is fucked up beyond words.
Yeah, and the thing is this is like not a very big school, right? So all of the administrators and teachers are friends, and so I'm sure Melissa, who is the director, is besties with the assistant director and is trying to protect her friend. She's trying to protect the school, and at this point she's telling them there's no touching, yet there's no evidence that they haven't done any audits yet. Nothing. They literally took the items from them like a day before.
There's no way.
There's no
way to know.
No way to know.
There's no way you will ever be able to definitively say, aside from her confessing, that there was touching involved. The victims are too young. They're not going to remember that, and there is no way. There is absolutely no way you can say that it absolutely didn't happen. Right. That is out of the question.
Right. And she says, these are the facts. Like, are you serious? This is an ongoing investigation, but these are the facts.
Outrageous. This whole thing just is, it didn't have to be this way. Like, it could have been handled, it could have been handled in a way that it should have been, and that is, you look out for the kids. The sole reason that we're harping on this is the outrageous and egregious lengths that this organization went to diminish the impact or diminish the severity of the situation in order to and keeping people quiet, not telling people, the secrecy, everything was done except for what should have been done in the interest of the kids, and that is appalling.
Right. Yep. So the next slide, and we don't have to go through everyone, but this is one I want to go through just because this is actually from, again, the relative, right?
Sure.
So this is the pedophile Allison's relative, and she's emailing the children, right? And so, she's emailing the parents, and she says, I've started and restarted this email several times, but I'm struggling for the right words. I want to say thank you for the outpouring of love and support that you showed me. Betsy and our entire staff Friday evening, I was moved beyond belief for your concern for us. For us. For us. Those moments have helped me in a way I will never forget and gives me hope for a new beginning. I hope you know that I want to say again how much we love your children and that we will do anything to protect them. Your children are my children, and I speak for Betsy also. Somehow we will pick up the pieces of this tragedy and begin healing. God will show us the way. Hopefully we can do this in the privacy of our school, church, and home.
No, you fucking can't. You don't get to do it in the privacy of your school, your church, or your home. That's not how shit works in the real world. That may be how you think it should work, but that's not how it works. When you are a part of a organization that employed someone that actively harmed children and made it to where their images ended up on the other side of the world. It may not be directly your fault, but you have an obligation and a responsibility to then man up and do what's right for the kids. Not make this a pity party about you. Fuck you. You're not at issue here. No one cares about your feelings. No one gives a goddamn about your image at this point. We only care about the kids. Period.
Kids. I know.
End of discussion.
And do you hear anything in there about the victims? Anything. No. Anything. Not a single word about the victims.
No. But God's going to show them the way.
Right. But I realize we may not have that privilege, so it's probably going to get out. So please do not hesitate to let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I will do my best to answer you. So here's the thing, you guys. This is the relative, and she is trying to stifle communication. She is trying her best to say to people, do not let this get out. Are you kidding me?
Why? How is she the one that's emailing these people's parents? How? How is the relative of the perpetrator? This is a slap in the fucking face.
Right.
Unbelievable. Let me tell you this. If there is a God, let's say I grant you that there is a God, okay? He is hanging his head in shame at the way that this organization handled this situation. He is not in any way, shape, or form eager to show you a way out of this at all. And if your organization is ruined because of this, you deserve every single moment of it. Every single moment. Because you harmed kids.
Right. And she should not have been allowed to say anything to any of these parents about any of this. Period. And the fact that she's telling them to shut up is a clear indication that she's interfering in the investigation, and she is trying to suppress information from getting public, and that is so egregious and so disgusting. And then she layers it with, your kids are my kids and God will show us the way. You know what? Fuck you, lady.
Yeah, fuck you, lady.
So as all of this is going on, the church ends up they have to hire new teachers who they promise everyone's got background checks. They bring in some parent volunteers that are going to help. They decide that all parents are going to have volunteers. Now the front doors are going to be locked, which, by the way, there was no lock on the front door. They did not lock the front door.
What is this? Is this literally some joke? They're literally going through everything that you should do and saying, "Fuck that. We've got a better plan." You are a daycare and you don't have the doors locked? With all of the shit that goes on in the fucking world? With all of the shootings that happen? You don't lock the front door? They don't deserve to have kids there ever fucking again. Ever.
They don't. It's 2019 and they don't have cameras in the room. Go to a single daycare center and tell me there's not cameras. Every single daycare center I have been to has had videos.
If parents continue to send their kids to this location, they are saying it is okay for whatever happens to their kids at this point. If they see the extent of what this organization has done and the just careless steps that they apply to their orders, like everyday stuff, like not locking the doors, unbelievable.
Right, I know, it's disgusting. And so they, after this whole thing plays out, right, they put together this pretend letter on the March 22nd, which they send out as a update to the ongoing investigation, right? So they say in the update from the school that they're committed to full transparency. So this is on March 22nd.
Okay,
with the families as we deal with. The situation first came to light on March 7th. The only limits are the commitments are protecting the privacy of the families whose children were involved and avoiding interference with the criminal investigation. At this point, we do not have any more additional information, but we want to provide an update in any event. So they said, we don't have any more information, but we're still going to provide you an update. To which they say, to the best of our knowledge, the criminal investigation by the Federal Department of Homeland Security and SBI is ongoing. We do not have any new details about where the process stands. Our understanding is that investigators in matters like this tend to keep details confidential while the investigation is ongoing. For example, no one knows at the school any details about the photos other than what one parent of one of the children described at the March 8th meeting. Melissa Mitchell, the school's executive director, is the only person associated with the school who knows the names of the 5 children. I don't believe that. And the information is to be kept in strict confidence. As far as we know, the investigation still relates to only the same 5 children. You don't know that at this point. Only. And the same one employee. We do not have any information or belief any other children. We do not have any information, listen to that, or belief that any other children or any additional employees were involved. If you don't know, you shouldn't say anything. You don't know. You just said 2 paragraphs above. You didn't know, and yet you're telling people that there was no additional children. You don't know that.
It's only only teens, or it's only kids that are nearly teens. It's not toddlers. It's only photographs. It's only 5 kids. It was only the Crusades. It's only it's only witches that we're after. It's only heretics that we're burning. This word "only" is just a joke in this case. Stop fucking saying "only." Leave "only" out. "Only" does not make it better. Only makes you look like only makes you look like an asshole. Only makes you right.
Makes you look complicit. Only makes you look like you're protecting yourself. Only makes it look like you're covering something that's trying to get something from not coming to light to come to light.
Right.
Only is a crock of shit.
Right.
So then she basically says that, there's people at the school that are insinuating that we're withholding information for some reason. Except for the names of the children, the answer is no. And they said, we have been asked by many people why the employee has not been arrested. We do not know, and we don't have information about that. So what do they say they're going to do? They're going to put together a bullshit. Oh, they said the situation was reported to CPS. We're not sure if that was required, since federal and state investigators were already involved. But we are provided, we just provided that just in case.
Well,
our notice, yeah.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yes.
You called CPS when the fucking FBI and the
Department of Homeland investigators
and Homeland Security is involved, and they found the children a part of a child porn ring in another country,
Right.
and you are going to toot your horn because you only called CPS. Get the fuck out of here.
I know this isn't funny, but that sarcasm there was actually quite brilliant.
These people are these people are outrageous. They're
I know
disgusting.
They are. So she says that what they're going to do is they're going to create a task force.
Oh God.
And they've appointed, the job is to look at the security that was already in place, which was basically nothing, and consider further security measures.
Security? They didn't even lock the fucking front doors. What security?
I know.
No cameras? What security?
Right. I know. And act as a point of contact with investigators and Bob King. So Bob is an elder at the church, and he is an experienced attorney who's helped with the organization's responses to crises, and he's helping the church and the school understand and coordinate with the investigators.
Here's a question for you geniuses.
Yeah.
Why a task force now? Why didn't, when you decided you were going to provide a daycare and you were going to have kids in your facilities, get a fucking task force then and say, what can we do to protect kids? Why didn't you get a task force before this shit happened to say, how can we prevent the worst possible thing from happening? It doesn't do anybody any good for you to convene a task force of all of you geniuses after the fact when you couldn't even get locking the fucking front doors right at the beginning.
Right. And it's like putting a Band-Aid on a freaking gaping, broken leg. I mean, it does nothing at this point. And so they say that they've appointed this guy named Tom. And Tom is going to be, Tom Harrison is the person that's going to run the task force. And he is retired. He's a retired psychologist that worked for many years in Guilford County Schools. So they are, you can take it down now. Then they also wanted to remind people that the employee who is the assistant executive director at the school is just as shocked and heartbroken as everybody else. And she's dealing with the impact of this on her own family. And for her sake, and to avoid any concerns as to an appearance, she is not involved in communications with the investigators or with the task force. Nope, she's too busy trying to manipulate the parents, but whatever, Melissa. And P.S., their task force, Tom Harrison, who is the person that's heading it up, he's on the board of the church. They're not even bringing anyone from the outside in.
Listen. If this place has kids still coming to it, that will be the biggest tragedy. If in the face of this, as a parent, I don't care what your religious grounding is, there's always another church you can go to. If you allow your kid, in the face of what you see here and how they're handling this, if you continue to send your child to this place, then I question your ability to raise kids in the first place. If you can't see the red flags and the issues here, it would be a lot different. Like I said, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation if the church have acted the way that it was supposed to, and that is drop everything and do what was right for the kids. We are only having this because the kids were abused first by the perpetrator, but then they got another round of it and disrespected by the place that's supposed to keep them safe, that's supposed to educate them. They let them down. They let them down in a big way, and there needs to be ramifications for that. So the one thing I haven't shared with you about this is that a lot of the parents that use this day school program, they're not actually they don't belong to the church. And the reason why Sarah was so impressed on me that this information needed to get out was because a large portion of the people that attend this and send that children through these programs are part of an Indian population, and many of them don't speak English.
And she's worried that the school has not been like honest with them and is withholding information. And so she's concerned that these children are still in danger.
I would be too. I think that is a legitimate concern based on the actions that they have taken, and their just blatant their blatant worry is on the image and protecting the image. I would be concerned about that too. I think that is a absolutely legitimate concern. And if I was somebody that was multilingual and could speak that language, I would be having a conversation. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what language you speak, what country you're from, what color you are, who you decide to get married to. None of that shit matters when it comes to a kid. All of those labels are gone. Doesn't matter if you're atheist, Christian, none of that fucking matters. What matters is the safety of that child, and that the information is being put out in a transparent way so that that child is not going to be put in danger anymore, and that everybody knows what's going on. And it's not happening in this case.
No, not at all. And they like pretend like this teacher is not the executive or assistant director or whatever is, she's taking, she's not talking to investigators. You know what she's doing? She's just meddling with parents and trying to get them not to talk. So she's just doing the dirty work that you guys aren't doing right now. So then, after that point, the information sort of like slows down from the school, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, on April 5th, they get a single email that says, Allison Saunders has been arrested. We have no further details. And that's what the school sent to the parents. And then, let me get to the... So, email, like, she basically ends up saying that, after they find out what happens, the school, everything hits the fan, right? It all gets to the media. Allison's arrested. ICE releases the press release. The media swarms. And in the arrest warrant, after denying for a month that there was only one incident and there was no touching, they find out that there was sexual assault by Allison, that there was bestiality involved with a dog, and the incidents occurred over 2 months. It was not isolated to a single day.
There is your only, everyone. It all comes to this climax of the story. Bestiality, sexual assault, when for weeks they were touting only photos, only 5, only one time.
And they were telling parents that they had already done an extensive evaluation. So realizing they had found what they did, the FBI went on those charges, and they went ahead and charged her with state crimes. This does not preclude the Department of Homeland Security charging her with federal crimes related to the transmission of image internationally, which she will eventually be charged with. Right now, the 14 charges that she faces, 6 of those are related to sexual assault. No, 8 of them are related to sexual assault. Only 6 are related to image. 8 charges related to sexual assault.
Bestiality.
Bestiality.
Now, let that sink in, and you have to really wonder, how soon did the school find this information out, and what did they do to make sure it didn't spread before they were ready for it?
What we do know is that Allison was suspended on the day that they found out about the original interview. So she was suspended on March 4th, but she was not terminated. She was only terminated after they arrested her.
Well, because they have to get the facts in, of course. They have to make sure that they have all of the details in, because just the rumor of bestiality and sexual assault isn't enough for them. They don't move on that.
Even the confession. They had a confession from her, and they didn't fire her.
Makes you wonder why.
School,
what other organization does that? Where they just they move you to another parish and pay for your travel and continue to give you a salary. Sounds familiar.
Right. Does sound very familiar. So they end up like Sarah, right? So she sends an email again, because on the day the story breaks, Bob, the lawyer, makes a point to tell the media that 4 of the victims still attend the school. And so that's a testament to how good this school is. Sarah is mortified because now pedophiles across the ocean that have photos of these victims know exactly where they are. And the school, she tells them, you have put these kids in danger. You have put them in danger by having them located. And then Bob also says in the press release to the media, only 5 families have left. Well, you know what? They probably haven't left yet because they didn't know all the details.
So they were doxxed on top of this.
Correct.
At every turn, this religious organization screwed over the families and the kids in this school. At every turn. At no point did they ever do what is right for the kid and what would have been the safest or what was in the best interest of the kid. At every fucking turn, they screwed these kids over. Every turn.
Every turn. And then so after she sends this message to Melissa, within an hour, they removed her from any further communications from the school. They took her off the email lists.
Now, they didn't take the relative to the perpetrator off of the list.
Nope.
They took a concerned parent off of the list.
Yep. And it was the relative that removed Sarah from the list.
Out fucking rageous. I hope that whatever government organization can rains down on this place and shuts it and throws away that fucking key. They don't deserve to ever have another child in their presence ever.
This relative needs to be arrested for colluding, for all of the things that she did to tamper with witnesses and tamper with the investigation and prevent information from coming out. I mean, she completely attempted to thwart this investigation.
All of them need to be arrested for child endangerment, neglect, abuse, everything of that. Because at every turn, that's what they were doing. At every fucking turn.
Every turn. And so they don't respond to Sarah, who, again, is seriously just concerned about these babies. I mean, come on. You've got pedophiles now across the ocean that know exactly where their victims are or where their targets are. They don't care.
And the reason that this is such an important story to talk about is because this began with only 5 victims. But as you see how the story progresses, it swallows so many more. That those 5, and because of the actions of this organization, parents become victims. Kids who weren't involved in this at all become victims because of the careless actions that this organization took in the wake of this this incident, and it didn't have to be that way. It didn't have to be.
They could have done the right thing from the very beginning, which makes you think: is there a cover-up? Is there more involvement of the church? Did they know something they don't want to get out? There's a lot of questions.
Wouldn't surprise
here.
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's really my question. I have nothing showing that, but that's that little sort of investigative journalist like hunch in the back of my head that there's a cover-up that's covering something else up. And I also think that this behavior too is indicative of the church perhaps knowing that they're under investigation as well. So the Department of Homeland Security is clear that this investigation is still ongoing. They are still collecting information, and they are asking parents now if they know that their child was a victim, if previous parents know that their child were a victim. Now, guess how the parents of the former students felt on Friday? They were outraged that they found out about this from the media.
Damn right. Let me ask you this question, because I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can email this too. If you operate a daycare, let's say that you wanted to do a daycare out of your house there, is there a body, a federal body or a state body that regulates that? Like, do you have to have some sort of license? Do they come and they check up on you and make sure that your house is up to code, that sort of thing? Is there a body that regulates that?
Yes.
Does that body extend to religious organizations?
Not the same.
Fuck that. It's time that that religious organizations are held to the same standard as commercial daycare, especially when you're dealing with kids. I don't care about your religious freedom in this instance. I don't give a shit about your you think it's invasive. There needs to be an outside agency that comes in and makes sure that those kids are safe. Period. End of discussion.
Right. And then it's like the final nail in the coffin is that today they send out an email to the parents and they're like, as you know, we at the school and the church reported at the March 8th parents meeting and also in our first memo that to the best of our knowledge, the allegations against Allison related to only the taking of photographs as to 5 students. That information came entirely from what we were told by investigators at the time. Prior to her arrest on the Friday, investigators had been the sole source of information about the allegations, with the exception of the details one parent provided at the meeting. When she was arrested on Friday, the media reported charges that go way beyond what investigators told us. We are frustrated and confused by this because everyone has questions and we have been trying to get to what information we have to everyone. We have been relying on investigators to give us information, and now we are hearing things that are different than we were ever told. We have called the investigator for an explanation but have been unable to reach him. We're working on getting a copy of the arrest warrant in the hopes to understand exactly what the allegations are. We understand the people are frustrated, but we were all told that the allegations related to only photographs. And now it appears there are other allegations. We're doing our best to get down to the bottom of this, she says. In her final statement, after these aren't even allegations, you guys. They found photos and videos. These are not allegations. They have proof that this happened. And they're still calling them allegations. And there is absolutely no mention of the victims at all.
Why start now? Why would they start now? They've only been looking after their own interests this entire time. They've only been looking after themselves.
And they're putting this on the investigators now. Well, the investigators weren't honest with us. The investigators withheld information from us. It's not the investigators' fault that you're not doing your job and you lied to parents. Now that you were caught with your hands in the cookie jar, you're blaming them?
What are the names of these two players that we've been talking about? The administrator and the assistant administrator.
Melissa is the executive director. Her name is Melissa Mitchell, I think.
Melissa Mitchell, and who's the other one?
Melissa Mitchell is the executive director.
And the assistant?
Is Debbie Cook, which hasn't been released in the media, but I'm sure if you went onto their website, it's probably...
So, you two should be absolutely ashamed of yourself.
Yep.
The way that you could have handled this, you could have been heroes, and you could have been a role model for not only the kids there, but for the parents there as well, to show that you were going to stand by the one group of people who can't defend themselves. Like they literally cannot defend themselves, and they put their trust in you. They look up to you, and they think that you're going to do what's in their best interest. And you more than dropped the ball this time. You let them down. You let the parents down. As a resident of this community in the same city that you're from, I am disgusted that you walk the same streets that I do. That I have to share the same boundaries in a state that you are. That eats me up. You should be locked away for your egregious neglect and endangerment of these kids, and you should never be allowed ever to be around a kid ever again. You're
Never.
dangerous, you're harmful, you're conniving and dishonest and despicable, and shame on both of you. Absolutely,
yeah, and I
shame on
hope that
both of you.
I hope that someday, if you're a victim of sexual assault, everyone says to you, "Well, it was only sexual assault. It could have been worse."
The word "only," it's just, yeah.
I am
Okay.
so, and I wouldn't have believed any of this if you would have told me. But Sarah did such an amazing job of keeping all of the information. These are just like summaries, right? I have timestamps of everything. I know that these are real communications. And it's mind-boggling to me that knowing that there's parents that feel this way and are making these statements, they have to know that this is going to get out.
Yep.
And Sarah was worried because she's like, the school is going to know that this communication came from me. And I said, what are they going to do? Get even more mad at you? They're going to look like a jerk if they do. And if they do, there'll be plenty of people backing your ass up because nobody's going to.
Listen, the chat over here has already put Melissa's number in the office number in the chat. So I'm sure they're going to have their hands full with some either calls or people letting them know exactly where they dropped the ball. Sarah should be nothing but proud of herself, and she is somebody that actually did the right thing. She's somebody that actually said, screw everything else. I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that people know this information so that kids don't get harmed. So Sarah is, in my eyes anyway, a hero. She deserves all kind of it was a brave thing to do, but usually sometimes, not usually, but sometimes doing the right thing is hard, and doing the right thing is difficult, and it's scary, and a lot of times you feel alone, but you did the right thing, and at the end of the day, you can look at yourself in the mirror and know that you have people here on this streams, and everybody that will watch this stream from now until eventually
Forever.
YouTube. Eventually YouTube kicks us off.
Right.
They'll be able to see what a right thing you did in the face of so much wrong, and so
And she was so reluctant to bring this forward, and she said, "I don't know, I'm not sure. I just want to show you this." And then we started talking on the phone, and we start talking through it together. And she's like, "I have to get this out. It just, now that I'm talking to you and I'm actually verbalizing this, with you, I realize how horrible this sounds. And then, you know, it started with, I don't want to release any of the screenshots, to, I want it all out there. And, you know, her biggest concern is that the safety of her child, which is why we've covered up her identity, and we have covered up, like, the fact of her daughter's identity. And so, you know, because at the end of the day, her child could still be a victim, and she has friends of friends that have children there that could be victims. And so that's the problem here, is that in the face of all of this pain, she's trying to do her best to, like, save other children from being victimized.
Sure.
And that is so noble. And she is, like, my favorite part of my job is that these wonderful people, they trust me with their stories. They seek me out after I've written something, and they trust me to get it out. And in a super chat, someone asked me, why didn't they go to the mainstream media? I'll tell you. Sarah said that she wasn't convinced that the mainstream media was withholding information to also protect the church. She wasn't sure that there wasn't connections within the mainstream media to the church, because the church is very well enmeshed in this area of Greensboro and has a very long history there. And she didn't think that if she shared this information, she would be able to get the story out that she wanted to, and that she wanted people to know. And she said, it's more important to me that I give it to the right reporter that will tell the story as I want it told.
Bring it to the people that, bring it to the place where religion comes to die.
And for the record, you guys, she is not religious. She grew up in a religious home, but she is not religious anymore. So I told her when she came to me, I'm like, you realize I'm an atheist, right? She's like, oh, girl, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So we, Sarah, in the live chat, you have gotten. You need to go back and read it if you haven't. Go back and watch the live chat replay. You are getting just all kind of accolades. It's really good to see. So people are with you. I'm going to read these super chats really quickly, and then I'm going to go decompress because I feel very edgy right now.
I know.
YouTube Surgeon General, 2 super chats with no message. Thank you very much. I will play your video tomorrow. I promise. My unfinished journey. I have no words. Just want to support y'all's work. Thank you very much for that. Full of Joy 365. We need more Sarahs in the world. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Querios and Milk. I am a preschool teacher. It is a ridiculously unregulated industry, and most places require 0 experience and 0 education. Kids deserve better. I wholeheartedly agree. And then also Querios and Milk. When abuse happens, nothing happens to the centers. The employees get fired and moved to a place that don't do background checks. They don't do background checks. What is... Oh, no. That can't be a thing. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I mean, if they're using, like, maybe they use, like, Truthfinder or InstaCheck, which isn't really a background check.
If there are places that don't do background checks, I'm going to hit the fucking ceiling.
They do them now. They said they did a background check on her.
Francesca King, how do we stop churches with religious protection? You take away their tax benefits.
Exempt. Yep.
Take away that tax that tax benefit, and you will see you will then see the ugly and where that money goes, because that's what linked the grand jury report and where all that money was going, and to what it was going to. So you take away that exemption that religious people get for their religion, where the government's not allowed to come in and ask questions, see the books, see where the money's going. Take away that, you'll start seeing some change. I promise you that. Brandon Heath Shaw, please give a shout out to Brandon and Mia in Liburn, Georgia. We always enjoy the show. Hello, shout out to Brandon and Mia. Glad that you guys watch the show. Full of Joy 365. God will help. Where was God to stop the abuse? He was busy. He was busy with the requests such as please let the Dallas Cowboys win this Sunday, or please let Dale Earnhardt Jr. Win the race, because those are important. Cajun Crustacean, super chat with no message, thank you. RJ, super chat with no message, thank you. Lily Seats, love the Non-Sex Show. We love you too. Let me make sure that's the last one. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I just had one. I had the one question, and then one from Tammy T. It says, "Thank you for being so strong and sharing the story. This child's mother is a hero for standing up for her child and other children. Keep up the amazing work you do reporting on these hard stories."
Amen. Well, Katie, this was a pleasure as always. I hate that we. It's when you and I are always together. It's it's bad news, but it's important news. That's the key.
We have good, we're exposing stuff, and we are giving
Sure.
victims, a name, and so it's not easy to talk about. But this is stuff that
No, it's
needs
not.
to be out.
It's not
So.
easy. It's not easy to talk about, but that's the beauty of what we do. We can laugh and joke and make fun of people who believe the Earth is flat when it's that time, but when people are getting hurt and there's no reason for it, and we can do something to either bring attention to that or in any way give them some sort of
A voice.
a voice and a break from it, then as hard as it is to get through, you best believe we will be there every time. So
Yep.
we love you guys.
Love you guys.
We'll see you tomorrow, and be good to each other.
Yeah. See you guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dave's not here. I do that every time.
I know.
Okay. Good night.